All right, so now our next speaker, Courtney Price-Dukes. Born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, Courtney Price-Dukes has a story of resilience. Now, while her life has been filled with adversity, she continues to beat the odds. Growing up, Price-Dukes dealt with financial struggles, abuse, neglect, and navigating the foster care system. Instead of allowing her circumstances to hinder her, she made the decision to turn her pain into power. Welcome, Courtney Price-Dukes.
I love public speaking. No, I'm serious. I love public speaking. However, believe it or not, there was a time in my life where I felt like silence was safety. A time where my voice was stolen from me. So then how did I get here? You see, it started on September 13th, 1999. A Virgo princess was born. Me, Courtney Renee Price-Dukes. Price, the maiden name of my biological mom who struggled with drug addiction, and Dukes, the maiden name of the woman who would become my mother, Shirley Dukes. A single mother, a teacher, the woman that decided to take on one of the toughest challenges. Oh, not raising me, I was a perfect princess. Of course, I'm talking about raising my siblings. Along with myself, my mother adopted 6 of my biological siblings, 4 older brothers and 2 older sisters. The Price-Dukes name became well known, but not positively. Too many people focused on what's wrong with you instead of what happened to you. So while my brothers were getting suspended, I would cry when I missed the school bus. And what they thought was a cry for education and me just being a nerd was actually a cry for help. What they didn't know is I was being physically, emotionally, and sexually abused by a family friend that lived in the home. Silenced through choking, bribery, religious trauma of putting my hand on a Bible, and threats of harm. I was quiet until I wasn't. When I was 10 years old, I reported the years of abuse to my mom and the police. However, due to a lack of evidence, the police couldn't do anything. So, after being silenced and ignored, I thought surely the police would protect me. But due to lack of effort from multiple parties and mandating reporting in schools, I entered the foster care system. And after bouncing from multiple kinship and foster placements, I was eventually reintegrated with the Armstrong family. And as you can see, one of these things is not quite like the other. However, despite our cultural differences, the Armstrongs made sure that I was able to keep a connection with my biological family. To assure my best interest, they leaned into the discomfort. This support from those around me is what helped me through and led me to my passion of speech and debate. As a child, after being silenced, I made the decision that I want to use my story to help people. Speech and debate gave me the tools and the platform to start that journey of talking about mental health, foster care, and adversity. I loved it, and I guess you could say I was pretty good at it too. Speaking in those classrooms would soon lead me to the TED Talk stage in 2020, where I presented my story of going through the system and my talk, the reality of foster care. In May 2021, I graduated debt-free from Wichita State University with honors. After graduation, I accepted a role as an administration rep for the university, and in my mind, my glory days of sharing my story were over. So I did the only natural thing. I joined pageantry. Yes, this queer, plus-size, dark-skinned, box-braid, rockin' black woman with a story of loss and adversity showed that tradition does not always need to be the mission. I took a hammer and I broke down every wall that was telling me I was not worthy. And through my time in pageantry, I created my platform, Fostering the Future, helping those impacted by the foster care system excel in adulthood through communication, education, mentorship, and advocacy. You see, I didn't have the best outfits or most money, but I had the grit and the heart. So though I didn't get the crown, my win comes from knowing I continue to show that no statistic, no stereotype has to define your story. I know that there are people that saw representation, and representation sparks aspiration. So speak out. I worked with Kids in the Spotlight, a nonprofit organization that helps foster youth to tell their story, to create my film, Speak. And now I continue to use my story to advocate for foster youth in my professional role as an advocate supervisor with CASA, recruiting and training volunteers in the community to advocate for the 1,400 foster youth in Sedgwick County, the highest number in Kansas. So, oh, the places I've gone and oh, the places I will continue to go. I became the person I needed as a child, from adversity to advocacy. I don't know what's next, but I know I will never be silenced. And I didn't get here alone. As the old African proverb says, it takes a village to raise a child. We're not meant to carry our burdens alone. So to my village, teachers, mentors, friends, family, thank you for making the difference. And thank you for helping me foster the future.